gets his inspiration from the galaxy and outer space. And Liz is inspired by the earth and all of nature and plants and growing things. I like those things too. But then I get down to the people, and that seems to be what interests me. So I'm working on a kind of a detailed project that started with a sketch of my daughter when we visited Sherwood Beach. And she was looking out at the ocean. So definitely there's a lot of nature appreciation there too. And it is like a collage, but then it's also, I'm kind of looking at this as a watercolor. And what I've done is my sketch, I've done in wire. So while I'm collaging pieces, and some of these pieces are just kind of samples of the colors that I wanted to use, I didn't want it to be too conventional. I didn't want it to be too coloring book, but I would like it to be more of a watercolor with washes of colors and to let the colors overlap each other, much as watercolors kind of run into each other. And this I've kind of pieced together, the shorts. You can overlap it, it'll get a little darker, and it's actually overlapping this color too. So what I want to do now, I have all this little stuff cut. I'm going to move my glass over and show you the wire drawing under it. I'm just going to slide it off. It has a whole different look. You can kind of see the piecing. So this is the wire drawing that I did, and I started from sketches that I did of my daughter, as I mentioned. This is the basic drawing. You'll notice I didn't quite get the feet on there. I have a problem with that. I always make things too big. But this hand was kind of boring and you can't hardly see it. So I kind of collaged it with the hand in this picture. And the way I did that was with tracing paper. So it's pretty see-through. And I placed it over one drawing and then the next. And I got a little more of the feet in there. I did another tracing of it. And I used thin copper wire. Copper has the same coefficient of expansion as our glass that we use. And so when the glass is heated in the kiln and it cools, the copper moves at the same rate. If I were to use steel or something like that, aluminum would probably melt. If I use steel, it wouldn't move at the same rate and it would cause the glass to crack. So the copper works really well for that. So I've now done another drawing and you can see those little shiny bits there. That's tape. So I pick a place to start. Let me figure out, okay, so I started right here. Put a piece of tape there and I bend my wire and I'm just following the drawing. When I get to a curve, put a little piece of tape. Come back up. Here's going to be a hard curve, so I did a few of them, stuck another piece of tape. Did a bunch more, these kind of wiggle around. More tape. And I just then flowed back into here, up the leg, back this way, back down around, and did this whole leg here. And it's very tricky, kind of squeeze that tight to get those little toenails in. And back up to here, and then it stops right there. When I'm going to put this between the glass, I'm going to have to very carefully untape each piece and get it to lay down on the glass. What I'd like to do is to start filling in the background for this water area. And just like I did one whole piece, like as far as I could for the legs, I'm going to take this piece of nice watercolored glass. And it has a nice curve on it that I'd like to use, but I'm going to start at the horizon. And I'm going to take a Sharpie. And I'm going to be a little bit freeform with the bottom part. And I don't know how well I'll be able to get this part. So I might use a couple little pieces, and I'll probably generalize a hard curve like that. It's going to be too hard. I think I'll start with the hard part first. And this may not go exactly how I did it. I'm not going to be able to cut all the way in there. Might have to use a grinder or just do little small cuts. And as you can see, I'm not very specific to the line that I already made. And because this is curvy and it has kind of that, if I just use my running pliers, it may break right across there, which I can still fix, but I hate to waste the glass. All right, now for the tricksy part. There we go. And I can just check that. Let's see how we go. And eventually I'll clear this off. We'll get it figured out. So then I can, in my deeper ocean, I'll probably have kind of a dark horizon line. These places that didn't quite fill, I can get some, without having to grind too much, I can get some smaller pieces of glass and just kind of fill in some shapes and waves and things like that to kind of make up the difference. So I just keep trying things out till I get what I want. Probably will use some powdered, well, this isn't quite powdered, it's frit, and it's of different sizes. And I'll probably put some of this here and there to add some more organic shapes that would be very hard to cut out of the glass, so I can fill in little gaps and also add highlights and emphasis. This is kind of a big experiment and kind of a next step beyond what I've done with some of my past pieces, where I just use the drawing and then just a few kind of random washes of color to produce. This is what some of them look like, finished with the wire inside. So these were much simpler. They were just kind of like tissue paper collages, but with glass. The color didn't specifically follow the edges of the wire. I decided to take one step further beyond the drawing with the wire, and I wanted to get things a little more 3D. And actually, initially, I wanted to do this wire on the 3D, and then I realized it probably wouldn't match up and it would be in such strange random place. So I did do the 3D, and I used the same sketch traced on a slab of clay and to produce a relief model, which I then covered with bisque fired, covered with kill wash, fused glass together. I had to be careful to follow the edges. Next time I'll make it square. And actually did a full fuse of glass right over the top. And it's a little hard to catch the details, but it's kind of neat if you get just the right angle.